2, 1, go.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Reach the Summit LAN in Denver, Colorado. It's been a long weekend. We've had some upsets, we've had some dark horses, but at the end, 2 teams stand. On this side, coming in on a hot streak and looking to climb the mountain, we have Overtime. Right now, standing as close to the summit as we can get. Down from the heavens, the alien battling against bureaucracy with Dropletto, Hardbox, and all. The basic framework, Joker, 5 lands they've competed together in. This is number 5. They have matched in the grand finals every single time. 2-2. Let us decide who will reach the summit. And as the players head to their seats and get ready to play, let's have one final cheer for each OT. And let's give up for ABAB. Games begin.
Sorry, didn't see you guys there.
Yeah, when did you guys get here?
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, grand finals.
Grand finals.
Yo,
we're here.
We did it, Weston.
We did it.
We did. We played through 2 days. We made it to grand finals, and we got to the caster desk. We're popping off.
We're here.
All right, no. Beams aside, Grand is going to be exciting. We got ABAB against OT. We got a great matchup here, right?
Big shout out to AJ Cannon for that intro.
Big shout out
for
to
all the
AJ Cannon.
production here. It's been an awesome venue in general, and that was just even cooler than anything we've seen. And I'm super excited to see these 2 teams get into it here.
Yeah, most definitely. And I mean, we've seen great performances from them all around, right? And you can go from the seeding as well already, right? They were expected to do well. Overtime coming through that loser side, so they have a little bit of an uphill battle at this point to find their way into a winning position. They need to find a grand final reset to play for. But I mean, you've seen the past games they've been playing, you've seen the form they've been in, and I wouldn't put it past them. Both of these teams have been having such a great showing already, and I'm sure they're going to keep it up as we're going into an Inky's game 1 already with a monumental start and adrenaline rush. Quite polarizing, I'd say, with the Awakenings there.
Yeah, really interesting. I don't think we've seen much Inkies at all, at least on the stage games on the mainstream here. Definitely not today, I don't think, a single time. So really interested to see that it was ABAB who went for it, and I know this is a map that they practiced, and straight away they get the barrier in about 2 seconds there, so that's going to be a lot of pressure. It's going to be so volatile on this map all around. Whoever gets that first barrier and finding it that quickly is going to be big, and Cardbox with the on Hungry Boy there. All straight away, 9 seconds, we have our first goal here.
Yeah, and you want to know something funny about ABAB, actually? They've played Inky's 3 times this tournament already. They've went 9-0 each time.
Wow.
They have not been scored on in Inky's yet. So as of right now, ABAB is 28-0 on Inky's. So this is very much their map. They very much found a way to capitalize this map and play it out properly. And we'll have to see if Overtime is going to be able to match that, or if they're just going to be another victim of ABAB Inky's.
Yeah, great stat there to show the dominance. And I think you usually think about this map sort of like an Otten City where you're playing those different goalie picks, but Vaughn's just on the Atlas here, just comfortable doing what they've been doing the entire time. So we'll see if that can work out for them here. A little bit more pressure from Overtime here, potentially the chance for the first point, and there you go, right as he said, 1-28 now, and our game's all tied up.
This might be the most generational caster curse you've heard in a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously, I mean, it's Overtime. They've been on form. They've been playing so well, and they would be the team that is going to bring the battle to this map as well. I also want to point out Overtime going for a rather, I would say, abnormal comp for Inky's, right? A double speed with Era now and then having Joker on Asher. Even though Joker's Asher are obviously excellent, it's difficult to make a comp like this work. So I'm very curious to see if they're going to actually realize those same results that they did get in other games on a game like this as well, or if it's just going to be ABAB kind of taking control of the game, because they're a lot more consistent, I feel like, with what they're playing.
Yeah, and you're seeing that so far. A lot of really quick points in contrast to what we kind of had all tournament. And the Era pick I think is really interesting. It can be very strong. Can also be really difficult to find value out of Era's cooldown, specifically that NATO, because there's just so much open space to clear around. But they're doing a good job in this point. They force the flip out from Cardbox. The Atlas ultimate comes down, but now Cardbox potentially could be vulnerable, but instead it's Luke who goes down. The dash there from Dropletto will create a power play. We'll see if Hungry Boy and Joker can play enough defense as the core speed is kept up by Vaughn. Sent to Dropletto, who opens it up, trying to get it, and now it back to Cardbox. A beautiful play, and the first set goes over to ABAB.
And even though Overtime was able to break that streak of not being scored on, ABAB still victorious in every single set that they've played on this map. And they're going to get rewarded with this draft where you have Quick Strike, Extra Special, Super Surge, Specialized. Especially looking at the team that ABAB is playing with, you have a lot of Awakenings here that can help you so much.
Yeah, interesting to see what they go for. I'm surprised the Atlas ended up MVPing, but Vaughn, you know, maybe we weren't saying his name, but doing a lot of work there. And yeah, the side of OT is really trying to make use of that space with the triple Monumentalist, just trying to stuff as much as possible. Era getting that extra special is going to be really interesting. Dropletto, though, going to get some speed, make sure that the damage is not a factor at all. And I think nobody getting anything too crazy, but Atlas getting that Siege Machine going to help on offense a little bit, help make some of those opportunities. But we'll see if OT can really start to kind of clog that space up with these creations, as Joker almost goes down there, able to live.
Yeah, most definitely. That's what you're going to have to try to get, because if it comes down to just pure striking as well, Hungry Boy Cardbox was able to pick up himself a Quick Strike as well, which is going to help so much with Device, right? She's not necessarily the best at just purely forcing, but if you just have more strikes, that usually does the job. And we can see if that's going to come into play or not as well, as the barrier does drop on both sides now. The Water Beam coming through, but not finding the result it wanted, as now Water Beam's coming into Joker. The flip needs to be used to defend that point, but the point's very much still alive. But no, great passing play from Hungry Boy, sends it down to the Joker.
Yeah, beautifully done to get the barrier there right as the beam was about to go up. They survived the water jet, and then Luke and Hungry Boy doing a great job being patient, setting Joker up, and a nice pass at the end there. So it is a set lead here. Like you said, it was 27-0 in their first 3 games. This is definitely the first time they've been down in a set, so we'll see how they can respond as Joker goes for the dash punch. Not quite finding it, but Cardbox going to find a ton of damage with that Vice ultimate.
Yeah, and that's so disruptive. Almost immediately, though, the Specialized Training now ultimate is coming through, just helping with that HP, getting at that all back immediately, which helped so much, but that still doesn't stop the pressure that's being built by Vaughn and Cardbox and Dropletto here. They get a barrier, they get the Water Beam. The barrier is still very much alive. Dropletto up front, but cannot find the goal.
Yeah, beautiful job by Hungry Boy to beat the X Maximus strikes right there. Huge situation, and now it'll go back to Overtime, trying to set this up, but Dropletto just has the flip. Gonna try to find it, but Joker falling back, playing some defense, nearing a flip as well. So if they can get the core to him, he's gonna have a lot of pressure on this Atlas, playing gently, dribbling to the top side, and waiting for Hungry Boy to try to set him up. Doesn't want to use that evade as he wants that flip to try to confirm it, but Cardbox pressure, Dropletto as well. And we'll see what Luke can do with this NATO being set up.
Yeah, the NATOs are going to be difficult to make use of on Inky's, right? Because you don't really have a convenient way to force the core with it. The flip coming out from the Joker there, not finding the barrier and getting answered by Vaughn. As a beautiful bull rush by Dropletto will find the goal for ABAB here to even things out.
Yeah, things looking a lot more back and forth than we might have expected, considering how dominant ABAB had been on this map. I think you're seeing glimpses of what Overtime wants to do with this comp when you have those NATOs, those now secondaries coming in, but so far they're just not quite able to convert as consistently as the, more consistent comp of ABAB is able to do.
Yeah, most definitely. Cardbox using the flip to get it out, but immediately gets answered as well. Luke playing very aggressive there, being that nuisance up front, but a KO being found by Dropletto is going to be enough power play in favor of ABAB now, as they're trying to take the barrier off of Luke, but he's interrupting that so early and so well, making it oh so difficult, and the Joker almost back on the field again. The barrier does drop though.
Yeah, and that's that Siege Machine from Vaughn right there, setting up the winning strike war for Dropletto, who's able to get the barrier. They'll make use of the water jet now, and Vaughn being extremely patient, using that bottom side, setting Cardbox up. They're able to get the core through to Joker, who puts down the pass splitter, but isn't quite able to set much up. You just see the chip damage from the Atlas, from the Vice, coming down onto Joker and Hungry Boy, that now is able to do some healing, but it might not be enough for Joker here.
I don't think it's going to be enough unless you have that ultimate specifically. It's going to heal a lot, but that's going to be a long cooldown, and he can't be dropping that every time, and the damage that the Cardbox and Dropletto are able to put out, together with Vaughn's Atlas damage as well, which is not to be underestimated, it's just going to be a bit too much for the Joker to stay alive, but a beautiful strike interaction will actually find the goal, and a point that felt so over for Overtime already actually went in their favor.
Yeah, I think every time you see Joker pick this Asher, you see him do something that you just don't see other Ashers do. He makes such good use of the striker he sets on that dash. That time is able to find a beautiful angle into the corner. And now with the help from that Nado, looking to set himself up, but it's Cardbox using the quick ultimate there to set it up. It seems like this point is just cascading away. We'll see if Dropletto has to use the flip or if they can stall it away from him for long enough. Luke with the Nado is going to set up the space. They do end up forcing it out from Dropletto, but that's going to tie this setup here. And now this feels like a really pivotal point in this game here.
Yeah, very pivotal, because there's a difference between ABAB going up 2 sets or everything evening out again. In terms of energy economy, Overtime does have the slight advantage, so we'll see if they can work with that, or if ABAB's just going to run them over off of kickoff right now. They're doing a really good job at that, but the clear is getting found. The Joker taking a lot of damage again. Hungry Boy has a flip, he's going to try to take the barrier, but Vaughn is there to strike it away.
Yeah, beautiful coverage from Vaughn and Cardbox there. Now Luke with this Nado trying to set it up. Cardbox might be able to take out the Joker, but not quite. He's barely staying alive in this play, but it means that he's not able to help Hungry Boy, and Hungry Boy trying to do it all on his own, trying to get some help from these Maelstroms as well, and it's just Dropletto winning that strike war to the perfect spot, setting it up. We'll see what value they can get with the water jet as the Joker does force out the flip there. A lot of pressure in the face of Vaughn, but he stays strong. Luke with the patience is able to get that out, and now the Joker might have a great opportunity with the pass splitter, but it goes just a bit wide.
Doesn't find its target, but immediately the core is still within control of ABAB. They're trying to set themselves up again. Dropletto dashing up front. Flip has to be used to Luke to stay alive, as the primary is going to save that barrier for now. But Joker still very much in an aggressive position. Has a flip here, gets the barrier in front of the net, and doesn't get the goal. It does save. Vaughn gives his life for the point. The point's not over. Another 2 flips available for ABAB. Are they going to be able to do anything with it?
It didn't look possible to save that, but Cardbox and Vaughn, whoever got the strike in there, was able to do it. Vaughn is back on the pitch now as well. Joker comes back as well. This is anyone's, and it feels like the awakenings are going to be huge, whoever gets this, and it is Dropletto who found the KO, now finds the perfect angle to the bottom, and a miracle point, a miracle set from ABAB there.
And what an important set that is for them. They got a 2-0 lead now in sets. They get another draft priority, and they're getting twin drive for Atlas more than likely. And even if Vaughn doesn't want twin drive, Hotshot's right there. You have so many good options. You can get more damage for us as well. Twin drive is going to be the choice, and it's going to be the effect as well, and it's going to make it so much more difficult for Joker to try and get past that defense of Vaughn.
Yeah, Vice, interestingly enough, taking away the cast to last from the arrow, which I think would make life a lot harder for Dropletto. So kind of taking one for the team there, taking not much for himself, but does take that away. But I do think that Asher and the Now, the forward duo here, did find a lot in that hot shot, and that 1-2 punch is going to set up a lot for them. And Era having that glass cannon, it's going to be difficult to keep it up, I think, against the Vice and that chain lightning. But when it's up, it's going to make Luke's job a lot easier. But Dropletto's making everyone's job harder right now.
Yeah, I mean, Drop really just showing us why his X has to be respected, why he's so good on that pick, because he's finding KO after KO. But even in a power play against them, they find the barrier off of Vaughn. Luke trying to push up, trying to assist to get this goal in, but it does not find it now. The water beam being used to get it out, and the control still very much in the hands of Overtime.
Yeah, Hungry Boy trying to set up the Joker, doing a little bit of back passing, making great use of the space, and the 1-2 punch from the Joker, almost finding it there. Now has it on the bottom side, but Vaughn has enough speed to get there, and he keeps it up, keeps his flip as well, so the defense going to continue to be difficult as they don't have the water jet anymore. The pass splitter setting it up in the corner. Still a lot of control for Overtime, but there it is. The hot shot from the Now sends it in quickly. It gets just around Vaughn, who didn't think he had to quite use the flip, so that is the first point once again in this set, going to Overtime.
Yeah, an important point, and you got to keep on playing off that momentum. You have a lot of energy to be working with as well. Vaughn has a flip defensively if he does need to use it, but optimally he isn't even forced to do so as the Expanse comes out to stop that attack almost immediately. Hungry Boy now trying to attack through the bottom. Flip coming out from Vaughn, but Dropletto not able to connect to it.
Yeah, and it's a very consistent plan from the Joker every time. As Dropletto with the X-Max sets it up, but Nado is able to save it for now, but he just every time is dribbling on this bottom side, trying to set it up in that corner, trying to really stuff it into the Atlas. Not quite able to that time, and doesn't use the flip, as Vaughn, with a perfect clear, just knows how to maneuver that side and get it away from the Joker right when he's getting close enough to try to punish.
Yeah, most definitely, but the Joker is trying to make use of this flip, trying to get into a position, but Cardbox and Dropletto just kind of not allowing him to move there. And even if he does, Vaughn's right behind it. The attack's still alive for the side of ABAB, but 3 flips available in Overtime. Surely they can make use of them here to get a barrier. Flip from Joker will get the barrier. The attack's still very much trying to be built here as Hungry Boy flips it up front. The water beam coming through as well, but the defense from Vaughn holds strong.
Yeah, and the Monumentalist from Atlas seeing a lot of value there. The 1-2 punch from Joker, but doesn't quite find it in the corner. Vaughn is ready for that one as Luke will try to set up Hungry Boy now. The ultimate from Cardbox sends it away with a lot of speed. And as this battle goes on, the Joker goes down. Dropletto finding another KO. Now finds the dash as well as we're in overtime. The core is going to be going quick, but Luke is in a position to save it. Has the flip as well, and a Hungry Boy giving a dribble to Dropletto there. Maybe a little bit of negative value, and then loses it. Cardbox with a perfect clear to the bottom, punishing that clear from Hungry Boy, and we are tied up in this set.
Tied up in the set, but very much not tied up in the energy economy because ABAB is almost on 3 flips. Meanwhile, on the side of overtime, you only have Luke that has one. Hungry Boy and Joker still need to work on it a little bit until they can get themselves that offensive pressure, but maybe they don't need it. Joker is on the attack. Asher is a menace in close ranges, but that's why Vaughn is going to get it out, but the expanse comes out a bit late. The barrier does drop.
Yeah, Dropletto looking for a KO with the flip there, but doesn't quite find it, and a beautiful clear by Luke gets it down as well. Might not get much value out of the water jet, but they do still have the advantage in this point as Joker looks forward, tries to force the flip from Vaughn, and he does. It goes wide, but they're able to keep it alive for now as Luke steps up, tries to set up his team as the core goes away just a little bit so the play will stall out, but that gives him time for another Maelstrom. And you see so many of those Maelstroms, even if just 1 in every 2 maybe can find the value, that can be huge for them because it can set up the checkmate confirms that they might not normally have.
Yeah, and you can see they really want to make use of Luke's flip here, him earning up as well, Hungry Boy being more defensive. Maybe don't even have to, as Joker's trying to push up, flip comes out, Vaughn does save it with a strike shot, but it does get answered almost immediately again. Now Cardbox against Hungry Boy, gets it past. Dropletto trying to get a dribble as well, but cannot find a good position for it, as Vaughn is going to deflate the situation.
Yeah, and Cardbox has just, as he gets KO'd there, right next to the jet, now Luke will set up the Joker. We'll see what he can do. A lot of stuns there, and a great save from Luke with the primary. He's able to set it up. Joker maybe going for a KO on Cardbox. The Atlas ultimate goes down. They're able to stall it out for now, and the core speed means that it just takes so long for the core to get back. The water jet is back up for the second time, but still not able to convert.
Yeah, the X-Maximus is getting popped up front, but they cannot get it past Hungry Boy and Luke there. As we're in a very much a stalemate situation of both teams trying to find the angle, but in the end, the pass up to Dropletto will do the trick because he finds the angle past Luke. Era having such a hard time with wide attacks like that. If you don't have the speed, if you don't have the beam, there's not much you can do right there.
Yeah, map point here. I feel like we've been saying Vaughn and Dropletto's name a lot, but Cardbox has just had Hungry Boy's number, been knowing exactly where he's going to clear every time on those barriers, especially as the core goes to the top. A great pass by Cardbox sets it up there. Hungry Boy now with the flip though, gonna have to burn it, and now might get taken out by the Vice ultimate. Not quite, but does get KO'd eventually, and this seems like a difficult position, but Luke finds a beautiful clear to the middle to stall the play out for now, but not a lot of cooldowns. The Era, it's so difficult to play the defense, so Joker is doing the help. Hungry Boy gonna be on the board now with the goal still there, but just one needs to be found for ABAB here.
Just one needs to be found, while overtime needs to find 2, but they're going to have to find him soon. They do get a barrier here. Joker in a setup. He has to flip and uses it, but gets defended by Vaughn. The ball is still not in. A KO coming in for Dropletto. Power play in favor of ABAB. Can they find the goal? Can they find the match with it? Dropletto uses the flip, cannot find the KO on Hungry Boy just yet, as Luke saves it out. Hungry Boy trying to get involved here. Vaughn walking up as well, trying to press the enemy, but they do get it out. And Joker finds the goal!
Joker with a hero play right after the hero play by Vaughn. I don't know how they keep saving these right on the goal line, but Joker says, cut the clip, don't send it quite yet. This game is still going, so if one more point can be found, it'll be more scaling for them. But it's going to be a tall task, as we've seen Dropletto and Cardbox set up these offensive opportunities. The Maelstrom here as well, but that secondary stays around for so long.
Yeah, most definitely. And the scaling will be so important for overtime here as well, because their team comp does so well with that. But as of right now, ABAB has something to say about it. Get the barrier almost. They do it in the end. The pressure is enough. Luke now defending against Dropletto. Gets taken off the edge of the map. And with that, ABAB take Inkies and take a 1-goal game lead.
Just one game away now for ABAB, as you hear the crowd in the background. I hope you can hear that on the stream. And yeah, we had a lot of fight there from overtime. We had some hero plays on both sides, but Cardbox and Vaughn, I don't know how they kept saving those on the goal line. Some incredible saves there as we get here to our scoreboard. Vaughn, you see with the 51 saves, the most redirects on his team. Hungry Boy did what he can with 185. It felt like they really had offense, and like it felt closer than a 3-0 game, but still ABAB just looked much more comfortable on the map. I think they were, I'm sure, ready to pick it all day, and they got the chance to here. We'll go to Demon Dais in the second one, which I think historically for teams with Vaughn on them has been really strong. But I think that ABAB has struggled a little bit on the map this weekend. I know I saw earlier in the day some games where they struggled on the map, so I'm interested in what we have there.
Very interested as well to see what kind of picks are coming out there, right? Because there's a lot more traditional picks that are being used, but there's also just ones that work really well for the individuals, right? Especially something that I'm thinking about is the Dropletto X. We saw it right now, and on Demon Dais, he has so much value, so much pressure with it as well. So I'm curious to see if that's going to be a prio, maybe a ban, or if there's going to be a completely different way. But the starting awakenings could also determine a lot here. So I'm curious to see how heavy we're leaning into damage, or if maybe, I mean, I find it hard to believe, but maybe there's some more controlled Demon Dais angle as well possible.
Yeah, and I think I've heard Vaughn say before that it feels like almost any character is viable on Demon Dais, as a goalie especially, and just in general. There's so many different directions that you can go, and I think both of these teams are experienced enough and strong enough players that they can really do whatever they want here, as we have Spark of Focus and Bulk Up, which is somewhat of a neutral start. The Bulk Up gives some damage and some survivability, so nothing crazy out of the start here. Like if you saw a Monumentalist or a Timeless, obviously you'd be thinking about that Finny, about Era, maybe about Now, but a pretty neutral start here, and we do see that X from Dropletto get banned away, the Asher banned away from Joker, so going to be different brawlers for each of the players here.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense to then go for the first pick Julie, because if the brawler pool's already been shrunken on a map like Demon Dais, you want a good brawler, you want someone that's consistent, and especially with what has been played so far, you need something that can shove. So Julie, a very solid pickup. That does open up a Vice Finny, though, for the side of Overtime, which is very scary if it comes to damage. Arguably the strongest two pair in terms of damage output in the game.
Yeah, they decided their comp with pick 2 and 3 right there. They were deciding we're playing damage this whole game. They're going all in for that plan. And we'll see what the Juliet can do to survive here. If they decide to go for something like an Atlas to try to fight back against that, if they go for more damage. We saw Vaughn on the Estelle earlier, which I think can be a very strong goalie pick on this map, and we might see it right there. We have the Estelle and Amy, which could really go into either role, but I would expect it's Vaughn on the Estelle. So they do have some damage to fight back themselves. We'll see what rounds out this comp for Overtime. But yeah, like you said, Vice and Finny, I think considered at points the two best just in general on this map. They get both of them here, and I think Luca's looked really strong on the Finny pick today, going with the Zen to round it out. So just really all in on damage as much as possible here.
Yeah, they're playing to take you out of the game and play off of those power plays. You do have a lot of control opportunities still with that team comp, but you do shine whenever it comes to damage dumping and taking someone out. On the other hand, ABAB has Amy and has Julie, which are both really strong threats around the edges of the map, while also being really good at forcing. So even though Finny has a lot of defensive utility as well, she can't really hold well against a dash punch or a cyber swipe that's well placed. So I feel like it's going to be a battle of who's going to get to their win con quicker. Is it going to be Overtime, it's just going to kill you and play off of that advantage, or is it going to be ABAP that's just going to force past you before you can do anything with the core?
Yeah, I think Overtime does have a little bit of insurance on that, as far as they have the Finny ultimate, which if you get something like Timeless, if you get something like Monu, it can set up more of those forces for yourself, but they don't exactly have something like an Estelle where you would force it into that ultimate, where you would really make that a consistent opportunity. So yeah, I think it's really going to be all about the damage for Overtime. They're going to be using those triple takes purely for amplifying the damage, and yeah, I'm interested to see who really can get to their game plan first, like you just said.
Yeah, most definitely, because that's where it's going to be, and that's also, on Demon Dais, it's such a snowballing map, which means the first set means everything. There can be awakenings in there that can just single-handedly win you the game. Just imagine a heavy impact falls into the hands of Overtime here, either on Vice or Zentaro. That can be completely game-warping, right? Or a hotshot prime time for the Estelle can do so much work for ABAP as well. So there's going to be so much value in being that team that wins that first set.
Yeah, and you see Dropletto and Cardbox egging on the crowd right here as they are chanting. They're excited for this second game, and so am I. We're about to load in here, and we'll see how it goes, but it is actually Vaughn on the Amy. I can see it on the other monitor here, and it's Cardbox on the Estelle, so not quite what I expected. I haven't seen Vaughn play Amy a lot in this last Nassel season in general, but that is the orientation they decided to go in here, so they have a plan with that.
Yeah, curious what the idea behind it is. Well, I mean, we're going to find out as we're going into the game, and the kickoff immediately starts off again. You can see abilities dropped immediately, and Vaughn's HP bar just disappeared. Very hard to stay alive against that team comp, so we'll see if they're going to find the KO or if they're just going to be happy with keeping Vaughn low. The Finny primary will get a pass and get the first barrier off of Vaughn's defense there, but the barrier is still very much alive across the field. It does drop, no.
Yeah, a missed strike from Vaughn there, so the barriers are down, and the damage is starting to pile up on a Dropletto, on a Cardbox as well. And Hungry Boy, Luke, and Joker look very comfortable. They're all on defense here, but they're running into them. They're getting those abilities onto Dropletto, onto Cardbox. who just don't have the survivability yet to consistently take those. Joker going for the Zen ultimate there, but Dropletto finds a dash punch KO on the side. Joker isn't quite able to use the flip here. They'll try to get it to him now. He goes for the KO instead, but Dropletto does stay alive, has a potential to go for some orbs here, but gets one in the back and a great evade to stay alive from Hungry Boy there.
Yeah, and Cardbox has a flip soon, so if they do want to play to win this point, they have the opportunity to do so. Vaughn jumping up front now to get pressure, as a lot of damage is being found onto the ABAB forwards here. Cardbox, no evades, no HP, gonna try to get this offense going, but needs to be careful not being taken out as the barrier still stands. Luke holding on to it. First KO found. Joker now on the offense. Hungry Boy at the bottom. Leaves very difficult to defend. Dropletto really low as well. Flip has to come up by Vaughn and gets the barrier for it. Open goal on both sides, and Hungry Boy is coming back in 3 seconds and is back now. Cardbox.
Yeah, Dropletto doing a perfect job cutting the pass there to not let Hungry Boy and Joker pass to each other. The Joker might get KO'd now. The Zen ultimate's going to be coming up soon, but he ends up finding it. It goes into the goal. Vaughn didn't have a dash left, and it is the first point in a crazy one going to overtime.
Yeah, most definitely, and something that cannot be forgotten, right? It's not anyone that's playing on a Vice here, it's Hungry Boy. It's Hungry Boy Vice with a bulk up start. There's going to be a lot of damage. There's going to be a lot of danger coming out of that as well. And you can see that already, as again, the Cardbox and Vaughn just have no HP to be working with anymore, as both teams have already lost one of their two barriers.
Yeah, and the card just barely hitting the core instead of Vaughn there, but he does take the secondary, takes the Zen ultimate as well. Almost staggered there, but not quite. Gonna try to step up, go for a KO, but instead it is Cardbox who goes down instead. Now they're gonna point their sights at Vaughn to find a KO here as Luke steps up. The Finny ultimate is perfect there to get the last one. Hungry Boy Vaughn out of the play, and the Joker spends the flip there, takes it 2-0. A lot of energy on his teammates as well, in a great position overtime to get the set here.
Yeah, and you can just see what we were talking about. There's just so much overwhelming damage on the side of overtime. ABAB has such a hard time playing into that because anything they're trying to do, they're getting met with Finny cards, they're getting met with Vice ultimates or Centauro abilities. It's just so difficult to stay on the map and do what they want, but they do get two barriers here. Flip by Dropletto will secure it. The piercing shot is not enough though. Vaughn running up as well now. They're trying to get this goal fast because the longer that this point goes, the more chances that the enemy team can find damage and can find KOs.
Yeah, Luke very patient there, gets it down to Hungry Boy, who has a flip, but they're just not quite able to get the core in the right spots yet. And Dropletto, they haven't really had the damage that overtime has, but Dropletto has been finding those dash punch KOs on the edges, and that's what you said going in. The Amy and the Julie, that's what they can do to you. They're not quite able to convert it yet. Luke and Hungry Boy with a great job, but Dropletto, we keep saying his name, just finds it right in between them and gets the first goal of the game for ABAB here.
Much needed goal as well, because again, we've talked about how important this first set is. There's so much danger coming with that first Awakening draft and that first Awakening pick. So it's so important that ABAB can find themselves in this game and find these goals. But again, off of kickoff, ABAB the first one to drop a barrier here, and damage just continuously being spread across their team.
Yeah, and I think they're going to have to be very mindful over time of when they play around these edges, when Luke clears around the edges, and Hungry Boy as well, because both forwards have kind of been set up in scenarios where they really have to go take the interaction, but Dropletto's been punishing those every time with the dash punch, so they really have to think about where they're putting the core to get rid of those. But the damage not quite gearing up in this point like it has been in the past. Flips are traded there, but no barriers found. The Finny ultimate goes a little bit backwards, but the damage is starting to pile up now from Hungry Boy and Joker. Dropletto and Cardbox both a little bit low. Vaughn having to do the defense all on his own, does it for a moment. The Joker now finds the stun with the primary, and it's the set going to overtime here.
Set going to overtime, and a set MVP, I believe, going to Joker as well, which is very scary. Zentaro with the right Awakening can be an absolute menace, and what is he gonna get? You have Stinger, you have Primetime, you have his own hat as well if you do want to go for it. Hotshot, a great Awakening as well for the Estelier, so very curious to see how these teams are gonna draft through this.
Yeah, you didn't quite have like a Super Surge or a Heavy Impact that they would have really liked, but he will take Stagger Swagger. It's named after him for a reason. He makes great use of the item, even in its new form, and I think it's especially just a deny away from the other team. The Stinger taken away as well means that Finny gets Monumentalist, which is going to be really scary, both for the damage, both for setting up on those barriers, and Vice getting more cooldowns as well. Vaughn will have a little bit more survivability with that peak performance, which I think will help, but I think the draft clearly going to overtime there in a great position for them to continue doing what they've been doing.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like in the long run, ABAB has picked up better awakenings, but they don't need something that's good in set 4 and 5. They need something that's good now to change the outcome of the current sets and get these wins going. Because as it stands right now, the damage is just still too big. Dropletto down to a stagger. Cardbox and Vaughn also down to half HP, with Cardbox having not even a single evade to his name either. So we'll just have to see if they can find it as the Vice Stun comes through. The Monumentalist Finny being so difficult to get the core out of, and the attack still very much alive for the side of Overtime.
Yeah, trying to find this last barrier, but Vaughn is doing such a great job, but gets KO'd by Joker there. Dropletto returns one of his own, though, so no power play will be found for very long. We'll see what Luke can do, but Cardbox and Dropletto are just holding these edges so well. Finds a second barrier as well, and it's Dropletto doing everything in this point. Now has to use his own flip to try to stay alive and might get KO'd, but ends up just getting sent to the center instead. But great teamwork from Joker and Hungry Boy. Set it up there. Luke uses the flip, doesn't quite find the barrier yet, and we'll see what they can do to try to convert this power play, but that damage has been brutal.
It has been brutal, and it's going to continue to be brutal as the barrier now does drop. Open goals on both sides, changes the way that Team Dais being played so much now. Luke and Vaughn both having a tough time getting involved up front because the barriers are just, they need to defend the goal that's so far back in comparison to the barriers. The attack's trying to be built on both sides now, damage being a bit more difficult to find as well, as the bounce almost goes in, but it gets defended by Luke.
Yeah, in these open goal situations with an Amy and with a Finny, you have to react so quickly. They're both trying to guess where the other side is going to send it now. Joker trying to set up a mix-up of his own. A beautiful flip by Vaughn there, but now going to be a difficult situation and just nowhere to go, really. Sends it down to Hungry Boy, and Cardbox not quite able to get there for that pass, so it will be another point going to the side of Overtime.
Another point going to the side of Overtime, and 2 flips pretty soon for Joker and Hungry Boy as well. They can be playing off of those if they want to. They do get a barrier off of kickoff already. The Finny ultimate coming through as well, completely shutting down play towards the top as Joker's taking a lot of damage. Uses the flip as well. Needs to be a bit careful not be taken out here. Does get a healing orb to stay alive for now. Hungry Boy now with the flip as well. The barrier does drop. Open goal already on the state of ABAB as Overtime's trying to convert it as fast as they can.
Yeah, the Cyber Swipe hit the core there to save it, but didn't hit Joker, so now he's going to be back up. Not even staggered, I don't think. I think that's just the bug here as Joker and Hungry Boy. Luke stepping up as well, trying to set this up. The Finny ultimate is there, but it is Joker that ends up going down, so we'll see what they can do with this power play, but both barriers still up. A lot of cooldowns for Luke and Hungry Boy. They're going to take some damage onto Dropletto here, but he is going to be able to find most likely both barriers, and he does. Joker is back on the board, but Dropletto with a perfect strike between Luke and Hungry Boy ties up this set.
And again, a really good point for the side of ABAB, but you need 2 more if you want to find a set for yourself here. And they've been battling so much to find these barriers, to find these goals. And it's definitely going to be a continuous uphill battle as long as his damage is still as high as it is on the side of Overtime. Because you can see again, Cardbox just tries to play the game, but he's not allowed to. Almost immediately being put into staggering and has a flip now, will use it. But there's a blessing and a curse because now there's no evades on you anymore. And you know what's going to happen? You're probably going to have Finny and Vice just damage you continuously.
Yeah, but Joker isn't quite able to put the damage on right now because he's trying to keep himself alive as the Amy turret sets up a lot there, gets both barriers, gets the KO on Joker as well as Luke tries to get it to Hungry Boy, tries to get away from Dropletto, who is taking a lot of damage here, but it's a scary situation for the defense. 2 flips on the board now, though. Gonna make it a little bit easier, but the pressure being kept on here by ABAB.
Yeah, the flip doesn't have to come out just yet. Luke and Hungry Boy still have it, but they don't need to use it defensively as the attack is now going the way of ABAB, but a great deny by Vaughn there will get the attack immediately again. The Joker trying to get a barrier, but the defense holds strong. Cardbox and Vaughn just doing such a good job defensively here to not drop these barriers.
Yeah, and they still can't find them. The Finny ultimate goes out as well. They finally get one now, but Vaughn and Cardbox, Dropletto as well, doing such a good job taking up space, just not letting those EVZ opportunities get through for Hungry Boy and Joker to stay on the offense, which is really when you start stacking that damage. And Dropletto finds it in the middle of the Finny card, sends it to the top side, and it's a 2-1 lead in this set for ABAB.
So difficult to predict that properly. That timing was so tight to make sure that the dash only hits the core, but he tanks the card with it. Just so excellently played by Dropletto there, as now ABAB are 1 goal away from finding themselves a set victory, but Joker has something to say about it, as he's immediately taking one of the barriers.
Yeah, a lot of strikes exchanged there, and it is Luke and Hungry Boy who are able to win it. The exchange there, but Dropletto finds a KO on Hungry Boy on the edge. The Joker can't make it all happen, and he put it in right as the goal opens. That was going to be a for ABAB, and instead Joker ties the set up.
Flip And at what value was it as well? Putting yourself into a 0.5 now, and again, such a crucial point now because we're at that crossroads. Either overtime's going 2-0 up in sets, or ABAB is evening it out. So this is so important to try to find this next goal here.
Great rotation by Hungry Boy, and they're able to get it up to Joker in advantage. Both the Vice and the Finny Ultimates going out, gonna set up some damage. No one quite in KO range yet, but Dropletto, Vaughn, and Cardbox all starting to get there. The first barrier of the point does go to the side of overtime. Dropletto and Joker both 1 health, and Dropletto has that flip as well that he wants to use for a KO, but he's just gonna get tossed around here by the Finny and the Vice.
Not only tossed around, he's going to be taken out by Joker as it's now a power play. The Finny Ultimate coming through as well, but Vaughn holding strong defensively, almost even getting a barrier on his own there. Still very much trying to play through this power play as Dropletto's coming back right now, and the barrier has to drop. It does drop down now. Joker is on the attack, cannot find the conversion for it though. Luke walking up trying to assist, and the strike does not hit the core. Overtime, finding another set victory and going up 2-0 with yet another draft priority.
Yeah, some hero plays by Luke, by Joker we saw in that last point, and I think Hungry Boy has been doing a great job in such a difficult position of having to play so much of the defense, try to get that core to Joker as much as he can when Joker is not quite dead yet, and we see heavy impact show up here for the Vice, extra special as well, and they do decide to go extra special on the Vice instead. Explosive entrance and adrenaline rush will go to ABAB, so they're really trying to take the KO game onto their own side, but that does mean that Joker gets the heavy impact here.
Yeah, this game is going to be incredibly chaotic just by the damage output. The extra special makes so much sense because you want to get all of these evades out, so it's much easier to KO the A side of ABAB. And the same thing is, like, surely you don't want a heavy impact on Centauro, but what else are you going to give him? Explosive entrance or adrenaline rush? There's nothing good to give him. So at that point, you're just going to optimize your own damage and try to find ways to counteract it. But it's going to be still an incredibly hard game for ABAB to play it out. But Cardbox doesn't seem to look like he's having a hard time as he's taking both barriers off of Luke almost immediately.
Yeah, and Vaughn having that dash range is going to make it difficult on offense. You saw right there, beating Hungry Boy in that scenario. Luke with the card is able to keep the point alive. We'll see if Joker and Hungry Boy can try to find the barriers here, but Luke at least extends it for a little bit. The secondary finding a little bit damage, but when they're going to put defense for this long, they're not able to get that damage win condition. And Dropletto with a beautiful hit stun, able to get the first goal of this set for ABAB as they need to claw their way back into this.
Yeah, that is that pure, like, force that ABAB does have. If they can make it work, if they can position themselves for it, it's going to be so effective. But again, it's always a question of time. It's always a question of how much HP do you have, because HP is a resource that you want to be using. And as of right now, Overtime's making sure that ABAB is short on that resource. As Cardbox is again down to stagger, taken out by the flip from Joker. But in turn, they do get both barriers off of Luke.
Yeah, and Dropletto making sure he takes a barrier with him before his teammate goes out as Joker tries to set it up, but Vaughn has so many tools to play defense here and play offense instead. The quick flip to the top side, Luke read it as a bottom side with the card instead, so just not quick enough, and Vaughn turning defense into offense there on the power play. 2-0 very quickly here for ABAB.
And they got to keep on that momentum, they got to keep up that pressure, but right now both barriers gone. That Finny Ultimate just being so difficult to deal with, and the flip immediately converting it into a goal. Hungry Boy being so aggressive and so efficient with that flip.
Yeah, just 7 seconds that time, and took Vaughn's energy all the way down as well, so we'll see if they kind of put a target on his back with that triple take with potentially the Vice abilities, but he's dashing in. I think that dash range was so important for him in that last one as one barrier goes down on each side, but really helping him help the offense here. But Hungry Boy winning a huge strike war, and they have the goal open very quickly, just like the last point.
Yeah, but they need to find the goal in the end. Still Vaughn holding on defensively. Luke trying to walk up as well to apply pressure to make it difficult to defend. The Finny Ultimate coming through there as well, but the core does get cleared. Dropletto not able to find the barrier just yet. Cardbox trying to get involved, does get the barrier open now. And now ABAB trying to find this goal, trying to find the set victory, but they'll have to find a way past Luke first.
Uses the card there, is able to keep it alive, send it down to Hungry Boy. He's trying to set Joker up. The core speed sends it to the top side. A weird bounce as well as Joker tries to set himself up. Has the Oni's blade as well, tries to set it up, nearing a flip, but also nearing getting staggered or KO'd here. Beautiful strike to the middle, keeps the core speed up that Hungry Boy created, and we're all tied up again. And one here for overtime means we'd be heading to a map 3 in this first series.
And that's what they need if they want to take home this entire tournament. They need to find this point here. They need to find themselves a third game and a grand finals reset. So we'll see if they can do it, because they do have 2 flips available for themselves. We'll see if they can get the value out of them, or if it's going to be defended extremely well by ABAB. As one comes out by Carbox, another answered by Luke. Does go around Vaughn, another one by Joker. Not a single barrier dropped yet, as one finally does go down.
Yeah, Hungry Boy trying to push it into that Finny ultimate, not into it, goes backwards instead, but a KO is found. Vaughn goes down as well, and the Joker seals it out. We'll go to a map 3 as you see them celebrate there. Felt like a close game, but once again, it is a 3-0. The damage from overtime worked. They were able to bounce back from that first map, and it's a long way to go still to reach the summit, but they do get a map right there and force it to a third.
That was nice. That was nice. Yeah, but a very long way still. Obviously, you got to go for the game 3. You got to go into the night market as well. But in regards of this game, you saw that game plan that they had. It was clear from the get-go. You have Vice and Taro Finney. You're going to take some heads off. You're not going to get at the enemy team to play. You can see how difficult it was for Dropletto to play as he's sitting on below 100 redirects. And that's just simply because there was so much pressure all the time on him to stay alive. He didn't get to interact with the core. There are a few times where he got the chances to. A lot of value was being found, but it's just very difficult to find those timings when you get dealing with Finny debuffs, with Vice ultimates, and the constant spam that Centauro can bring to the table as well.
Yeah, it felt like every one of those redirects was used extremely well, but we will head to Night Market on our third map. Completely different games, those first 2. We saw Vaughn on the melee goalie, then we saw him on the Amy. We both going in assumed it would be a Stell goalie and Amy midfield, and it did seem really hard to execute. I mean, I think Vaughn did a great job, found some of the goals at the end that almost extended that game, but just extremely difficult to execute on that map, and it was Overtime, who just seemed like they had the easier comp. They had just so many damage abilities to throw at them, and they converted better, and that means we'll get to a third map here where Overtime once again has banned the X away.
Yeah, X very much, they're still very aware of what happened game 1, right? They do not want to give Dropletto that character, and it's incredibly valuable to get rid of that as well. You have Siege Machine Spark of Agility start, which is a bit of an inoffensive start, right? Pretty neutral. If you're not happy with Siege Machine, you're going Spark, that gives you more speed. But Siege Machines are still a pretty solid pickup for Atlas as a baseline. And I mean, we've seen it all tournament what Atlas can do here. So I'm curious to see where the Atlas is going to end up falling here, if it's going to be an early pick, a later pick. But the Asher being picked out as well, really just again going into those signature brawler picks and saying, we're not going to let you play what you want to play.
Yeah, same as the last map with those 2 bans. The Joker and Dropletto being pushed off of those main picks, especially. So we will see the Vice picked from Overtime here again. Like you said, Hungry Boy infamous for that pick and looked so comfortable on it in the last game. So I think Night Market can be definitely different than it is on Demon Dais, but it's what Hungry Boy plays. I'm sure when they've scrimmed, it's what he's playing a lot of the time. So they take it with the first pick here, but we will actually see Cardbox here going on the Octavia. Kind of a signature pick for Joker, Cardbox as well, and it is Cardbox who goes for it here. The Dubu as well, which we have seen all land long. It lands into Vaughn's hands here, and we'll see Luke going for the Atlas, which is a pick he is especially known for as well.
Yeah, and he's still coming through for the Joker as well now. So them just going for the same comp that they've playing before, but I'm really, really excited to see an Octavia here because you're putting all your eggs in one basket right now. You're saying, hey, we got an Octavia. We don't have an insane starting awakening, but if we're getting any kind of good awakening on that character, you're going to have a terrible, terrible time dealing with her, which is going to be, it's quite a scary move in a game 3 of Grand Finals, right? Because if you cannot enable this Octavia, it's not really a great character anymore, but obviously Cardbox is going to make wonders with it, gonna make it work for sure. I'm curious to see how well Octavia Rasmus can score past an Atlas though, because Atlas is so strong defensively, and especially in a map like Night Market where you're attacking through the lanes and have a lot of head-on attack. Atlas thrives in those situations.
Yeah, and this is something we didn't really talk about on the cast, but we were talking about beforehand of Joker has gone to this Estelle pick to try to beat the melee goalies. I think the thinking is something like a Dubu or an Atlas. If you're X, if you're Julie, you have to go straight through it, and they have the tools to put it away. Instead, with the Atlas, you try to, or with the Estelle rather, you try to really go around the melee goalies, which have looked so dominant all LAN. And it has worked for Joker to the point to get to Grand Finals, to get to a chance to reset the Grand Finals here. Against a goalie like Vaughn, I think he's going to be ready for that, and I'm interested to see how this Estelle pick works. I think like you just said with the Octavia, where it feels like kind of a risky pick, like it either will work really well or not at all, I think the Estelle is kind of the same thing, and the Joker, if there's anyone who can make use of it against a goalie like Vaughn, it's got to be the Joker.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm curious to see how well it does as well, especially because you're trying to play around the goalie, right? That's what you're going for. But it usually works pretty well if the goalie's playing far back. Now, if I know anything about Vaughn, is that I know he doesn't want to sit in goal box. He wants to walk up. He wants to be aggressive. He wants to play on that midfield line if he can. So maybe it's going to be more difficult to play around him if he's already in your face anyways, as we're immediately on kickoff and immediately a barrier dropped on the side of overtime. Dropletto using that Erasmus as an excellent move there to get one down already, but it gets immediately answered by the side of overtime.
Yeah, we'll see how they deal with Cardbox, and it is the Joker going down to the dash from Vaughn there with those parents creating enough power for it to happen. I'm interested in this Cardbox how overtime tries to play around it. If they try to just KO, because they do have the Vice, but the Estelle making it a little more difficult. Has a great clear from Luke there, keeps the barrier up for now. But a set one Octavia who doesn't have a lot, you have a little bit of speed, but not really what you're looking for. We'll see what Cardbox is able to do, but it feels like this first set probably should go the way of overtime if they want to stay ahead on the scaling.
Yeah, most definitely, because again, ABAB, they have the Octavia, they have a lot of scaling with it. You do not want to go late. You do need to take these early advantages when the Octavia still is weak and play off of those. But as of right now, both teams are just giving each other so much difficulty to find these barriers, to find these scores. Dropletto almost dead. The flip comes through from Cardbox and will get the barrier down. Open goal now on the side of overtime as Vaughn's trying to set it up to Cardbox. Dropletto fighting for dear life, almost getting the goal in even. Hungry Boy trying to convert the KO, but not finding it as Cardbox is still not successful in getting the push through.
Yeah, Dropletto coming back and playing a little defense, and the fact he lived so long ago was huge. Now they get the barrier open here. 2 flips to try to get through both offensively and defensively, so it's going to be a tall task for overtime to get this first point. But like it's felt like we've had every game, a very long first point as both teams trying to battle. Vaughn has to use the flip as he was caught throwing the log out there that time. They're not able to convert yet, but Joker runs up, finds the perfect strike. It just barely rolls in, and a beautiful job by Joker. Kind of got it around the Dubu like we were talking about, and the first point goes to overtime.
First point to overtime, and that's a lot of momentum as well, together with the fact that Vaughn, Dropletto, no evades. Cardbox has 1, so energy very much in favor of overtime here. Very much more momentum that will favor them, as the ultimate from Hungrybox will actually find Cardbox there. 1 barrier, 2 barrier, Joker will get it, both of them. An open goal on Vaughn now. This is going to shackle him on the defense a little bit. Can't help with the offense as much, especially because Luke has a flip that can just be a threat immediately.
And Cardbox couldn't really help there either because he was staggered, able to stay alive now, but Dropletto does find the out, does find 1 barrier, but Joker now dashing in, has that flip, gonna try to find an angle like he did last time, but it's the strike shot from Luke downtown. You were talking about Vaughn stepping up, but it's Luke this time instead who finds it, a beautiful punish on the clear there.
Yeah, and I mean, we're talking about 2 lockdown goalies here, all walking up to the midfield, and I feel like that's the most exciting game that we can have, right? Taking these risks and getting such huge rewards out of it as well. And both Luke and Vaughn have been doing such a good job at that gameplay already. Obviously, they wouldn't be both in Grands, right? The flip comes out from Cardbox here, but it gets answered by Hungry Boy immediately again, and the Vice Ultimate will be enough to get the core out, at least for a little bit.
Yeah, all 3 members kind of holding hands in the goal box there. They're able to set it up. Hungry Boy trying to get the core to Joker here, and something we didn't really talk about, that Siege Machine is a very important thing for Atlas, and you saw it right there. It wasn't the primary like you usually see, instead it was a strike shot, but he's able to make that pressure without having to step too far up, as Joker now dribbling in the corner, doing it all himself, is able to get 1 barrier, tries to set it up to Luke, who is trying to take those speed gates away from Dropletto, who is just desperately trying to survive against this Vice.
Yeah, it's so difficult to try to stay alive there. And the barrier does get found off the flip as well. The Joker and Hungry Boy now trying to get his core passed on to get a set 1 victory here. And they almost will. The somersault has to come out. Vaughn still has a flip. Cardbox being very low as well. And so will Dropletto. Dropletto not even having evade available. But the barrier does drop a clean attack from Cardbox, and Dropletto will get it past Luke as the attack almost finds a target. But no, Hungry Boy and the Joker on the attack again. Flip coming out from Vaughn. And Luke not able to react to it. That first goal for ABAB in this game.
Vaughn and Dropletto perfectly in sync there, and the KO barely not being found on Cardbox, and meant that Luke had to clear it down, and that set up the flip play from Vaughn, who had to use it before Joker did. Does mean that Joker still has a flip here, but if they can get some damage pressure on him, maybe they can burn it out, maybe they can make him use it in a position he doesn't want to, as he finds himself on the edge, and that's exactly what they do. Cardbox with the ultimate there forces out, but they are able to get 1 barrier, but Luke with the Atlas ultimate just a little bit too late, almost finds the barrier with the strike shot, but now Dropletto, Cardbox, and Vaughn all closing in here.
Yeah, the attack very much alive, but they're doing so good at just keeping the score away, keeping both the barriers alive as Joker's now back on the field. Carbbox half HP as well with the flip active. Probably wants to make use of that pretty soon before he's going to get damaged up by Hungry Boy. But another KO being found by Cardbox this time. Power play for ABAB, but the barrier drops nevertheless. Dropletto almost gets a barrier, but the strike shot from Luke will hold on to it for now.
Yeah, beautiful job, and Luke has the flip as well, getting it away from Cardbox here. Sends the flip to the top corner, almost finding it, but Vaughn was ready for that one. So Joker is back on the field now. We'll see what he can do like he did last time. Almost a great setup there, but Vaughn ready for it once again. We're seeing exactly what we talked about before. Vaughn is ready for these plays, but Joker has still been able to get the better of him on a lot, just seeing two of the absolute best go at it, but Hungry Boy not quite able to get Joker in a scoring position for a while here.
Yeah, Vaughn does have a flip defensively as well if he does need to use it, but for now there's not enough pressure on the field that he would be forced to do so. Dropletto has a flip soon as well. Core going back to the defensive side of AB. AB as they're trying to get the attack going onto Luke, but the defense holding strong on both sides. This is more of the normal double lockdown goalie gameplay that we're used to.
Yeah, this flip forced out from Vaughn there, and we've had, I think that was the second flip of the point, so just going so much back and forth. The roll goes, and then everyone just standing in the area, and it ends up being the Joker who wins the strike war. He set up the strike with the first point of that set, and here it is. Overtime have a lead in this game, and if they can do it, we'll be going to a grand finals reset.
And they're going to get rewarded with quite a few things here as well. You do have the hot shot, however, the Octavia's going to be there to pick. I feel like you have to take the Super Surge. You do not want to give Cardbox anything to work with on this Octavia. So even though hot shot for Estelle would be nice, you need to make sure that Super Surge doesn't fall down to Cardbox. Cardbox still very happy to pick up another Spark, though, to get that stacking going as early as possible.
Yeah, and the fact it was a 3-1, but still in the XP you have 2 and 3 being sides of ABAB shows how close those points were. The hot shot going to the Vice instead of the Estelle does still create some of that core speed, and I think on the Brawler Estelle especially, that Super Surge can really help you cover those out clears in the way that like a Rasmus hook would. So it's still going to be a really good pick. But yeah, the fact that the draft went the way that it did meant that Cardbox got a second Spark, which he's really going to enjoy there, despite the fact that they lost the set.
Yeah, most definitely. And another awakening that's definitely going to be enjoyed is that missile prop on Dubu. Vaughn obviously is going to be walking up as much as he can now, trying to make use of that Tofu Fortress because it is so oppressive. It's so easy to push that past the enemy defenses. Even if you're going into an Atlas, you're going to have those tools to force it through with that Tofu Fortress.
Yeah, and Vaughn going for Joker. He found the KO in that first point, but not finding it there. Luke with a nice little dribble and then a back clear to Hungry Boy, and him and Hungry Boy have looked great on the defense, especially in this game, making use of the vertical clears here, as Hungry Boy might send it backwards but waits long enough, trying to set it up to Cardbox, past Cardbox rather, and to the Joker, who has the flip but just not able to get in a position to use it yet. But Luke just looking really on this defense, and Joker knows how to make use of those hit stuns. Gets the barrier here, almost finds the dash here instead, and Vaughn ends up using the flip, even though he won the strike war. Just a lot of being by overtime.
Yeah, and the attack being built by Dropletto here. The flip has to come out by Luke to save the goal for now, but Vaughn is still steady in the back. HP bars are getting full again. It's going to get a little more difficult, a lot more control-based, but again, all these ranges from both the lockdown goalies are making it difficult to really get into a strong attacking position, as Hungry Boy does not find anything with that ultimate, but the barrier from Luke still very much alive, and Hungry Boy soon has a flip available for himself.
See that missile prop from the Dubu, cutting off the whole top side right there, but not enough time for it to matter too much as Dropletto finds a quick hook, and the barrier will use the flip here as well. Joker with the teleport had the right idea, but Dropletto just sent it a little bit too quickly for that defense to work.
But this is how you can see both of these teams are just all so on the same page. They're all so locked in, trying to make themselves get the most optimal play possible, because Joker knew what was going to happen, but it was literally just a thing of like milliseconds of not being there in time to get this piercing shot out. And it's just that level of play, that these small errors that are going to be the ones that lead to barrier and goal losses.
But look at Luke, Hungry Boy go. They don't drop a single barrier there despite all the opportunities, and Joker finds a KO on Vaughn on the side there. Not something we've seen at all this game, and they're maneuvering the core around. Dropletto and Cardbox doing a good job. But once again, it's a strike shot from Luke, which helps the offense there. Hungry Boy's able to find the second barrier. Vaughn is back, but his barriers are gone once he respawns, and we'll see if they can fully convert this, as the Super Surge from Estelle means sends it straight up. Not quite able to get in a position where they're putting the pressure on Vaughn, but they're keeping the defense up for now.
Yeah, both flips traded there to keep the barrier alive. The attack still very much alive. Cardbox is continuously stacking this Octavia secondary as well, which makes it so much more difficult to deal with and really hard to get it out. But they do in the end get away from the Octavia speed buff there as the attack is alive for overtime now.
Yeah, Hungry Boy trying to get this core to the Joker in a good spot where he can make use of this flip. Luke stepping up as well, and there is the pressure. Joker doesn't quite find it though. Maybe could have just struck as the roll was going through. Instead tried to hit a hit stun as Hungry Boy goes for a crazy angle, trying to find it in the corner, but Vaughn is just ready for it all. Is keeping it up right now, but the pressure is still being kept up by overtime. Cardbox playing some defense there as well, but it is Hungry Boy who's able to win the strike war against Cardbox, and we're tied up in this second set.
Yeah, and it feels like they've been playing so long already in this map specifically, but we're somehow still only 2 goals deep into the second set of the game. And it's just going to get more chaotic and more faster as well as more drafts are going to be coming through. But again, the attack is coming through from ABAB, getting one of the barriers almost immediately as Luke is going to focus on holding it down, but the one being traded back as Vaughn's trying to get aggressive on the double pick, but not quite finding the answer he was looking for.
Yeah, great pass up to Dropletto, who finds a perfect strike right down the middle, just out of the range of Luke, so that second barrier does go down, but Hungry Boy coming in is forcing out the evade, and Cardbox ends up striking, so taking a lot of damage. We'll see if they have the pressure to try to KO here, but Luke's just doing such a good job with the strike shots and primaries all game of keeping the core up, but Dropletto is finding a pressure this time. Joker almost sets it up, but Vaughn is ready for the mix-up there.
Yeah, sends it to the safer side, makes it easier for them to get it out, but even then, it's going to be a lot of pressure to be dealing with. Luke being so oppressive with these strike shots as well, sending that core almost immediately back to Vaughn's side as Cardbox pops the secondary, tries to get interaction, but does not find it. Flip available for Cardbox as well. Dropletto trying to get it past the defense from Luke, but they're holding strong.
And a KO is found, and the goal as well from Cardbox. Luke just out of range, could have maybe used the flip there, but it's such a quick play. The KO and the goal found from Cardbox, and a chance to tie up this game at 1 set apiece here. I think overtime, their plan has been looking strong. It's just been the execution so far in this set as Hungry Boy is going to do a ton of damage. Cardbox, though, somehow stays alive as the crowd begins to chant KO here.
Yeah, obviously trying to find it, and they do in the end. Power play for overtime now. Can they find the barrier off of Vaughn, though? He does have a flip, and Dropletto assists as well, making sure there's no easy path to go to the second barrier, as in 2 seconds, Cardbox is going to be back on the field, and is able back into a 3v3 with both the goalies having a flip. Joker almost finding a kill onto Vaughn, but just barely missing it.
Yeah, Vaughn a little bit more ready that time than the last one. Luke ends up investing the flip here, and the core will go all the way around to him on the top side as Joker and Hungry Boy try to set this up. It's a little scary when everyone's in the lane there because the swing from Dropletto is such a pressure, but they're just trying to take Dropletto completely out of this play. He has a lot of energy, but finding himself a little bit low on stagger there, but able to get the orb, keep it alive for now. Now has the flip that he'll try to use in either side, trying to break open these melee goalies and get the goal open.
Yeah, it's still trying to get attacks. The Joker needs to use the flip there to stay alive, otherwise be taken out. Now Cardbox needs to fear for his life, as a lot of damage being found on top of him. Has a flip available as well. Might have to use it just to stay alive. As Vaughn uses his, sends it up. Can use the flip to get an attack, but it gets answered by Hungry Boy almost immediately.
Yeah, and we'll see if they can find the KO on Cardbox here. They had to use some cooldowns on defense there, but they do end up finding it. The core just barely goes away, and Vaughn doesn't have a flip on the this time, so we'll see if they can convert as they rotate the core around to Hungry Boy, setting himself up and gets it all the way around Dropletto, who might have to use this flip defensively. They're able to keep it alive for now, but the goal is open now, and Luke just not letting up. Joker not letting up on the pressure here as Dropletto finally gets a chance to use this flip and does convert it.
That's converted. Open goals on both sides. It's Open Fortress coming through, sending the core into the half of overtime immediately. The core's going so fast. It's just a slight misstrike can be the error that leads to a goal here, as Luke is going to try to get it out. Has a flip available. Dropletto trying to apply pressure. Almost being taken out by the Joker, but not being found. Again, both of these teams playing it so well, making sure that they're not leaving any gaps open.
Yeah, Hungry Boy uses the ultimate, and Dropletto once again for the second time this set, almost KO'd. Luke has a flip, Cardbox has a flip, Vaughn is nearing one, so it feels like we're getting to a point where something has to happen here. Flips traded, Cardbox wins, but Luke wins the strike war. The ultimate is going to set up some pressure. But instead, Joker, who gets it through everyone. Vaughn is not able to get there, and we're tied up in this second set.
And that piercing shot was so valuable because Joker still has a flip available soon. Hungry Boy is close to it as well. And now we're in a 0.5. And again, I've mentioned it so many times already. We're in a situation where either one team goes up 2-0 or we're equalizing. And as of right now, overtime is looking to make it a 2-0 lead. Dropletto has something to say about it though as he gets one barrier almost immediately back. Flip coming up from the Joker but gets answered by Vaughn.
Yeah, kind of had to use it to not get KO'd there, but not able to put much pressure on Vaughn, who still has the flip of his own. But the positioning still for overtime is setting up that pressure. Flip gets used by Vaughn and importantly gets it barely around Hungry Boy, so that might be able to set Cardbox and Dropletto up for a KO for setting up offense. But all three members of overtime just pushing up consistently and setting up the pressure on Vaughn.
Yeah, just trying to make it so Vaughn doesn't have an answer anymore trying to defend it. But as of right now, they're not having the success that they're looking for. Cardbox, on the other hand, though, really low, needs to be careful not to be taken out. And almost the Atlas primary is what it does. Hungry Boy has a flip soon, so surely going to try to farm some energy here, trying to get that flip available. The pass play coming through from the side of overtime as they're trying to get the skull in. Flip coming up for Hungry Boy. They fight the angle through the top. Overtime going 2-0 up in sets, and they're looking really good to force a bracket reset here.
Yeah, not sure if Dropletto was trying to hook the core or hook the Joker there, but either way, it kind of set up maybe a distraction for Vaughn in the end there. A beautiful shot by Hungry Boy, is able to get that second set. We have two sparks here showing up, so that means Octavia is going to get one of them. But it does mean that Joker is able to get his hat for the second game in a row, and he was able to win that first one. So we'll see what happens. But the prime time going over Device with that hot shot as well, creating the core speed that I think they really need to score. And that's what you've seen. When the core speed gets up and the Estelle is able to keep that up, that's how they're able to score. I think the fact you have the missile prop and the time waste now on Vaughn will help set up some of those offensive opportunities with the Tofu Fortress. And Cardbox getting that third spark, that's going to be a very fast Octavia.
It's going to be a fast Octavia, and keep in mind it's a leadership spark, so that means it's going to be more speed even for the entire team of ABAB, so we'll see if that's going to come into play. But yeah, you said it, core speed is the name of the game. That's how we're going to have to deal with this. That's what you're going to be looking for, and it's just so difficult to deal with when you're talking about core speeds like that, where seemingly almost every second ability is just immediately going to send it red, as both barriers are now down on ABAB. Overtime, really looking to find this goal lead and get themselves into a position where they can close off this game.
Yeah, Vaughn uses the roll at the right time there as Hungry Boy, Luke, and Joker all close to a flip. Cardbox and Vaughn as well, and Cardbox is the first one to get it. Uses it to rotate the core here, but Hungry Boy was ready for that. Has to use the flip to stay alive, but still setting up a lot of offensive pressure are the Joker and Hungry Boy, but they're both in a position where they could get KO'd here.
Yeah, most definitely. Dropletto also taking a lot of damage now. Has a flip soon as well, so would like to not have to use an evade there. A beautiful strike that will get it past Luke as Dropletto gets taken out, and Cardbox again very low, not in a good position to participate. And a beautiful pass upwards to Hungry Boy will actually get them the goal. Overtime going up 1-0 in this potential last set of this game.
Yeah, and the Joker did a great job waiting for the speed gate, so he had enough time to get up there, make the pass to Hungry Boy. Vaughn didn't even have a chance to flip the core on the pass angle or on the shot. So just beautiful execution. And it really looks like overtime want to force this grand finals reset as Vaughn sends the Tofu Fortress out, doesn't quite catch the core, but still able to keep the barrier up for now.
Yeah, for now, but the barrier's dropping on the other side as well. Dropletto with a beautiful double barrier there, putting Luke under pressure, but Joker immediately getting the attack going again against Vaughn as well. Dropletto trying to play around with the core, but not able to get past Luke. Luke being so oppressive as well, walking up and being that annoying Atlas, making it so difficult to score on him.
Yeah, the glass cannon giving him a lot of speed to be able to do that as well. As Dropletto dribbles, sets up, forces the flip out from Luke. But, you know, if they are, as Hungry Boy is almost able to set it up, but Vaughn with a miracle save, just like we saw in the last game. If they're able to win this set, Cardbox is going to get something. There's 2 Dash Awakenings left, and he's really trying to make that happen. Dropletto uses the strike ward to Luke, so not quite able to get it yet. The hit stun set up a little bit there as well. And Hungry Boy with a save. Luke and Hungry Boy doing a great job like they have all game, but it's just not quite enough. They're not able to get the core far enough away, and Dropletto gets the goal there. And yeah, like I was saying in the middle of that point, feels like if they don't get this set, the scaling is really going to be there for the Octavia.
Yeah, most definitely. So many Awakenings are going to be good, and you can see it in the positional play as well by ABAB. They're just doing so well at shutting down these angles. vehicles, making it so difficult for Luke to get it out, but he does it over and over again. But again, we're 1-1. Both of these teams are playing for everything here. They're playing for the entire tournament, and they're trying to find themselves an attacking angle as the missile prop Tofu Fortress comes through, but a well-answered defense by Luke.
Yeah, Vaughn doing a little bit more of that pushing up that he really wants to, especially with the build of the missile prop and the Timeless Creator. Right now trying to get it to Dropletto, and Dropletto trying to win a strike war to put the pressure on Luke, but really Luke is just able to put the core away every time it's getting into that midfield. Hungry Boy holds the Vice Ultimate as long as he possibly can there, but you can see Cardbox really stacking up that speed, and they're able to find a KO. It feels like the damage is really on their side now with this Rasmus, the Octavia, and Vaughn put up as much as he can to set up offense and set up the opportunities. But in the reverse power play, Hungry Boy is able to get that without even using the flip.
And they didn't even drop the barrier on the side of overtime either, so now you just have 2 flips available for yourself to find yourself another goal here and get closer to that reset. But as it stands right now, ABAB's trying to get the attack going here. It just gets answered so well by Joker and Hungry Boy all the time, and even if they fail to do it, Luke has it locked down in the back.
Yeah, sets it up to Joker here. They have the strikes ready off the hook from Dropletto. They're going to set up some damage. The core is going to get to Vaughn, and Hungry Boy finally going to make use of this flip, and Vaughn with a perfectly timed roll is going to answer it, so he'll keep his own flip. He'll get it away from Hungry Boy, and unfortunately the Expanse sets up an own barrier there. Cardbox puts it all the way in, but Joker is able to get it up. Dropletto going to have to use the flip maybe, passes it to Cardbox instead. Cardbox breaks everyone's ankles. Find a map for Hungry Boy and Luke there, and Cardbox finds the spot right in the middle.
Just playing around him so perfectly, not allowing them to even touch the core Octavia, just being such a menace when it comes to speed and core control as well. As now ABAB are 1 goal away from winning themselves a set and giving themselves a much needed awakening for Cardbox on this Octavia here, but the attack still continuously being built. Cardbox trying to stack the speed, trying to be so oppressive with it. Will use the ultimate to get 1 barrier, 2 flips available for ABAB. Does not to find the barriers, but they haven't found either of the barriers, and they do in the end. Luke with a misclear there. It does get answered almost immediately by overtime, but still this is an open net on the side of overtime.
Feels like they're really figuring out how to make better use of this Octavia, and Cardbox has been doing a ton. Dropletto finding pressure and finding KOs as well, and we've talked about it. This set feels really important as Cardbox tries to set it up. Dropletto uses the hook to try to get away from Hungry Boy, but they just can't get it away from that flow state. They finally do, and Cardbox doesn't have a lot of energy, so this feels like potentially a window, but Vaughn is putting it up, keeping the pressure on, and not letting overtime get out of this goal. All 3 have to stand there.
Yeah, and it's just a question of time until Vaughn is going to have that Tofu Fortress again to get even more pressure up front and make it even more difficult for the side of overtime to save it, as Hungry Boy with a clutch ultimate there will actually still hold the barrier and hold the goal for now.
Yeah, the flow state does go down, and Vaughn with a beautiful roll. The flip got buffered there for Hungry Boy as well, so that is a huge swing and a huge potential swing in this point for ABAB to try to continue it as the wall gets set up. Dropletto now trying to win the strike wars. Cardbox trying to get in with that primary. Nothing found quite yet, and we continue to go back and forth as Luke has the flip here to make the defense a little bit safer.
Has a flip on Luke, a flip on Joker pretty soon as well, so we'll see if that's going to come into play, but as of right now, Dropletto is trying to do everything, but no, the flip comes through, a KO coming through as well. Flip by Luke to get the situation under control and get an attack going, as overtime is trying to get this core Vaughn, but they just can't find it. Vaughn being so good defensively here.
Yeah, beautiful patience to get it away from Joker, and Dropletto almost found a angle at the top, then the pendulum swing, the hook there sends it down, but not quite able to find it. Luke is ready with the Expanse. Dropletto getting set up by Cardbox there, and just such a good job of Luke keeping alive here. But Cardbox now has the flip, uses it far away, on the top corner, and he extends this game. We'll see if he MVPs it, but that is a huge play to extend this. He gets the MVP, and let's see what he can get in this draft.
What is he going to get rewarded with? And he got cast to last! Oh my, Octavia's going to get cast to last. Oh, this is going to be, okay, this is going to be very, very fun. Because you know how Cardbox has been everywhere across the map already. So much speed to be working with. Well, just kind of like double that. Just have it all the time. That's such a huge pickup for ABAB here to get their way into the game again. Extra special, going to be a beautiful pickup for Hungry Boys still to make sure to get more damage out. The heavy impact deny as well. Peak performance going to get a little bit more movement speed and survivability for Vaughn there. As I feel like a lot of these pickups are good, but nothing compares to the Castle last on Octavia.
Yeah, the Vice going for the extra special just like the last game instead of the heavy impact, trying to get those evades away. But yeah, Cardbox found more speed with that Castellas, but it doesn't matter if he gets KO'd. The extra special there. Dropletto also finding speed in the form of that explosive entrance means it's going to make Luke's life a lot more difficult. And the way he's been playing, putting the core away in the midfield, hopefully for ABAB, the speed on both sides is going to mean they're able to get it very quickly back to them once again. But let's see what that Castellas can do, as Cardbox got KO'd earlier on, but now he's putting the pressure on Hungry Boy as Vaughn continues to hold down this barrier, but Hungry Boy doing a great job with that prime time of finding it.
Yeah, most definitely. The pressure is not letting up though. Cardbox still on the same secondary activation right now. The flow state not going anywhere as he's continuously running after the core. And you can see it's just turning into this small little annoying mosquito that he can't get past. Because it doesn't matter if you're hitting it up, down, left, right. He's going to get there. He's going to be there. Has a flip available as well now. Will send it up front. The KO being found by Dropletto. A great flip by Luke. Will keep it alive, and the point is not found just yet. Joker trying to find it. And yeah, it goes in. That's not hit it right, and a goal goes to overtime.
Kind of like what we saw in Inky's, it's a hero clear somehow from Luke and Hungry Boy there that time, and Vaughn going for the pass angle up, but just barely it goes back, and he had the roll ready too, almost got there. Still, we saw in that point, not to call it a fluke or anything, but this Octavia and this Rasmus is so oppressive, and it's going to make the job very difficult for overtime. But they were able to save it long enough there to extend the point, but Dropletto and Cardbox just have too much for them that time.
Yeah, and that's gonna be the team comp that they have, right? That amount of pressure that they're able to be playing for, and that they're gonna be putting onto overtime continuously. Points like that is gonna be, I feel like, more of the standard at this point. But obviously, overtime can find angles to play around that. They can try to get Cardbox just off the map because it's still a squishy Octavia. But again, after a certain point of speed, I don't know how you're gonna do that because she's just gonna run away from you continuously.
Yeah, like when you're new to this game and you're playing against Octavia, they tell you just clear away from it so the flow state goes down, but there's nowhere to send it that Cardbox can't get to, it feels like. And Dropletto with the pendulum swing gets the goal open, so Cardbox doesn't have to use the flip yet and instead sends it to Dropletto. Luke had the read with the strike shot, but it's just a little bit too late, and Cardbox and Dropletto look so dialed in on this offense. It looks so difficult for overtime to play, and they're 1 point away from tying our grand finals completely up here.
Yeah, and they do need to find this goal, and they need to find the next set, because again, another draft might just be another awakening for Cardbox to play with, which you do not want to be dealing with. You do have the flip being used by the Joker here, Hungry Boy trying to use it as well, but Vaughn holding on defensively, another one coming out, and a KO being found by Cardbox. This Octavia is just being so difficult to deal with, not only because of speed, but also because of KO pressure.
Great patience and clears by Luke, though, means they haven't found any yet. They get the first barrier, and Dropletto will try to set up Cardbox, but that flow state does go away. But the fact that you have the 3 sparks with the focus here means that secondary is up so much quicker than it normally would. So you just really have no downtime, it feels like. And Vaughn, with a beautiful roll, is able to set it up, sets up the wall as well. Cardbox has to use the flip to not die there. So a great job by overtime to get the pressure back. But Dropletto has the flip now, and that flow state is going to be up soon here for Cardbox.
Yeah, the defense needs to hold strong by overtime here. They do have a flip on Luke that might be used to counter the Dropletto flip. You do need to make sure you don't drop this barrier, because on open goal it's going to be so much more difficult for you to defend this, as Joker and Hungry Boy try to find an angle past Vaughn here, but he's just playing it so well defensively. Flipping used by Luke as well means he doesn't have that anymore if Dropletto is going to flip in his face, which he does not find. The core just barely going past him.
Yeah, has the secondary now, but doesn't quite find it in time. But that wall from Vaughn is going to set up a lot of pressure. But you've seen Luke and Hungry Boy have so many of those vertical clears right across the barrier, and they found a huge one there. So now Joker's able to get a little bit of pressure, but Vaughn's able to just keep it. But it doesn't matter. Hungry Boy with prime time, able to get it on Cardbox, and the chain lightning hits it in. So as much as it has felt like ABAB has the momentum, just 1 point here could reset our whole grand finals.
And this is a do or die point for overtime. You do not want to go into a set 5. You fought so much to get into this position, to get yourself this close to a grand final reset. If you're not winning this set, it's going to be so difficult for you to get a set 5. You've already found so many good angles. You need to make sure you convert this properly, as the flip comes out by Hungry Boy. Does not find the core as a target. No barrier drop just yet. And ABAB trying to build their attack here.
Yeah, some cooldowns being tried to use on Cardbox, but not quite low enough that the pressure matters too much. Great strikes from Luke and Hungry Boy set it up there. The Chrono The secondary is still staying up, and Dropletto is trying to find the pressure in this corner. Flip used just in time from Luke, but the core ends up going backwards. So now we'll see if Dropletto and Cardbox can find it as up, and Dropletto finds a huge KO on the Joker.
Power play in favor of ABAB now. You do need to convert your goal here. You do not want to give them that opportunity to have a 3-man defense. And that dude, Dropletto, sets himself up, and with a pendulum swing, will send it in. We're going to a set 5 in this game 3.
And I believe the awakening you might be looking at here, it is actually Dropletto who ends up MVPing, but I believe Aerials is still in there.
Twin
drive as well, but the Octavia is all the way at the 5th spot. So if there's a saving grace, it means that your Atlas or your Vice is probably going to get Twin drive here. You can maybe take the Aerials away. You also have Strikes. You also have Adrenaline Rush, what they've been finding, you know, a little bit of that pressure, but not as bad as it could have been as far as the scaling for the Octavia here. But those last 2 sets, it has looked so difficult for Overtime to try to fight back, and they're not going to find a ton for themselves. They have that Adrenaline Rush, but it really hasn't felt like they've been able to find a lot of KOs, and if it has been anyone, it's been Cardbox who got big fish.
Yeah, we're just going to have to see how well this quick strike comes into play, because it can be the difference maker defensively. But obviously, if there's too much force, more strikes aren't going to do the trick either. But Joker immediately coming in and takes one of the barriers off of Vaughn's hands.
Yeah, of course, sent backwards there. Cardbox with all this speed is sending it into the corner, and Joker, Hungry Boy, Luke all having to play defense right next to each other as the speed is just too much for them to get out. They're winning all the strike wars to keep the barriers up as one finally does go down, but they just can't get this flow state away from Cardbox, who is everywhere, and Dropletto, as that happens, is finding so much damage and finds a KO right there.
Yeah, the KO, the power play coming through as well. Luke finds the clear and diffuses the situation. This is going to allow Joker to come back onto the field. Cardbox mispositioning Luke a little bit awkwardly there, but the barrier is still alive on the side of ABAB, as now Overtime is trying to find this core up front, but Cardbox just being so oppressive on the speed, it's going to run out eventually. They do have 2 flips to be working with as well on Hungry Boy and Luke, so we'll see how they're going to be used.
But they just can't ever get enough pressure on Vaughn. He always has roll and he always has flip, and it feels so hard to get that second barrier or even think about scoring when that is the case. Cardbox and Dropletto passing back and forth quickly. Luke has the flip, but somehow it gets through the primary there, and it is the first point. The lead is finally taken in this last map by ABAB, and just 2 more points for them to be reached the Summit champions here.
Yeah, they're looking just so good. They just have so much to be working for themselves, but Overtime very much not done with this game yet, as the attack is going to be built on both sides. Yet again, the Tofu Fortress being so oppressive, but Hungry Boy with the ultimate will be able to kind of control that situation, get the core away. Luke has a flip here, and the Atlas primary will do the trick to take one of these barriers off of Vaughn's hand.
Yeah, but it feels like we can't even talk about the Joker and Vaughn kind of battle that we had in those first few sets, because Cardbox and Dropletto are just taking things over. The flip, the evade is forced out by Cardbox there. He still has this flow state up, and now almost 2 flips for them as well here. Joker has an opportunity to try to set it up there, but the speed just means they can't possibly lose the core, and Cardbox will have to use the flip there, but it's actually the Duba who saved him on the edge there, so he's able to stay alive for now, able to get a little bit of that stagger up, and Dropletto finds another KO there on the Joker.
Yeah, Luke has to flip to disfuse the situation, but Dropletto has a flip on his own now, which is probably going to be used in close range. The strike from Luke is going to be good. The secondary is still there. The defense holds strong, and the goal's not in. And a KO on Dropletto. The barrier does go down. Cardbox trying to get the attack going. The flow state's still very much alive, but the power play for Overtime, it's actually going to be a negative one, as they're just trying to keep the core control. Excellent passing play, and Cardbox, no speed left anymore.
And that's what you have to do, but that means they're not really able to make use of the power play as far as getting this barrier, but Joker is in an offensive position, almost finds it, but instead it's Dropletto sending it down to the bottom, uses the hook to get it away from Hungry Boy, and it's the pendulum swing taking out Luke. 1 point away here for ABAB, and it feels like they have everything they need with this team comp.
1 more goal is all they need. They have energy to be working with. They have flips to be working with. They just need to set themselves up. They need to get themselves into a position where Luke, even though he's been defending so well, cannot do anything against it. 1 barrier does drop off Vaughn, but again, we don't care about 1 barrier if the other one's still up. Hungry Boy needs to use the flip to defuse the situation, but Cardbox being so oppressive. Dropletto getting the first barrier, and Vaughn now trying to walk up with a flip here.
Yeah, but it's Vaughn goes down. We haven't seen that since I think the first or second set, so some fight still left in OT here as Dropletto gets the core away. Joker looking for a second KO here, uses the flip and does find it. Cardbox might just keep his own energy, but Vaughn is back on, and that means there's always a chance to save these as Cardbox gets it away, keeps it up. third point. KO in the point found by Joker, and he gets the read from Vaughn as well, so they're able to extend this point one more game.
Overtime, just finding KO after KO, positioning after positioning, just making it so difficult for ABAB to play this out properly. As again, we're going into another kickoff, and energy advantage is going to be on the side of overtime. We'll see if they're going to be able to convert those or not, because again, ABAB just being so oppressive, sending the core up front. Hungryboy trying to use the ultimate to get it out, but it cannot, and Cardbox flow state still very much alive.
There it goes. It just feels like if you're an OT fan, Cardbox is the villain right now. You want to keep it away from him, but he's able to keep that flow state up for so long. It finally goes down, but in the meantime, he's built up a lot of energy, and overtime still just can't get this core past Cardbox and Vaughn, so they're able to put pressure on. Joker almost KO'd by Dropletto, but that time he bounces off the edge, so he's able to stay alive. Still setting up a lot of pressure. Vaughn in an offensive position. They're trying to get the core, and they find the KO on Joker. Let's see if that's what they need to get this last point.
Yeah, the attack coming through, but Luke holding on strong. Again, Luke has a flip as well if he wants to use it. Will use it early here to get more time for Joker to come back. Another flip by Hungryboy. Gonna put Cardbox pretty low now. The berry gets found. A nice redirect. Dropletto has a flip available. Is he gonna be able to use it? Not yet. KO being found. Flip from the net. Does not hit the core. Joker on and Hungryboy on the attack now as Vaughn is using the flip defensively, and the barrier's still alive.
Yeah, they managed to get it out with both flips there. It stays alive for now, and Cardbox about to be back on as the roll stalls the play out a little bit. Cardbox has that flow state, and here he comes. Luke clears it down. Cardbox is able to keep it up. We'll see if it's Dropletto. If it's Cardbox, the defense being the time being, and Vaughn is able to clear it out for now to keep that barrier up. But the pressure is still on. It gets to Luke now, and Cardbox just able to play it slowly. Gets it down, and Dropletto with the pendulum swing. They reach the summit here. ABAB has done it, and Dropletto and Cardbox get their first S-tier wins as you see them celebrate there.
And what a performance from both of the teams, but especially ABAB, just being so controlling again, having such a good showing across the entire tournament, coming through from the winner's side, keeping themselves up, having an impeccable Inky's performance overall, and just being the absolute best showing by their all-star team. Very much deserving S-tier wins for all three.
And this is the summit. Here they are. You can see the crowd celebrating there. Just awesome energy we had in here, and you can see all the players there shaking each other's hands. It was such a good fight by overtime. They were so close to that grand finals reset, but it just felt like once that fourth set went the way of ABAB, that was all the scaling they needed. And Cardbox, Dropletto, Vaughn all doing an incredible job there and get a much deserved win here in Denver.
Yeah, most definitely. That Castellas came from the heavens for Cardbox there to enable that Octavia pick so much more. It was a question going into that game. How well is this Octavia going to do? Is this Octavia going to get the awakening set they need or not? And in the end, it was what they needed. And ABAB take the title.
Yeah, and I think throughout the games you saw, different moments of people kind of being the hero. Like in that Inky's game, we saw some crazy saves from Vaughn. Dropletto finding so many KOs, so many pendulum swings. He finds the last goal in that last game, and Cardbox with 446 redirects in that game 3 is able to do it. It was a 35-minute last game, and it ends up going the way of ABAB as you see the scoreboard there. Just an incredible back and forth, and what a grand finals that was.
Yeah, the intensity of that game. No single person has less than 300 strikers on it. Both of the goalies have at least 130 saves. Just so intense in the way that's being played out, and so difficult for both sides, and just a beautiful grand finals to close off the tournament with.
Okay, we're going to have the team on here for an interview. You'll hear from the S-tier winners as we wrap up this incredible event. But don't go anywhere. You're going to want to hear from them. The first win for 2 of them. Thank you for casting with me. Thank you, everyone who came out here and everyone who is watching. This has been awesome. We'll have the winners interview in just a second after this break.
Hello, everyone. We're here with the winners for today. It is Vaughn, Cardbox, and Dropletto, ABAB, as they're called. And first of all, I guess, how'd you come up with the name?
We wanted a silly acronym name, and then we thought of Dropletto, and then ABAB, and then we put it.
It came to mind. Man, it's like this is just Dropletto's S tier. Let's name it after him.
Yep.
ABAB. Wow, thanks guys.
Of course. And well, our Brawly did amazing today, so it was worth.
Yeah, actually, I was talking to you a little bit, Box, before yesterday, I think, before we slept in the same bed. We were
Yes.
talking a little bit about the Octavia, and that's a pick that has not shown up at all in recent times, right?
No, not at all.
Why'd you pull it out?
I saw Joker, and the lore is Joker is the person who taught me everything. I didn't. Well, he didn't never coach me, but I just watched him, and he taught me my strikes. He made me love Octavia. I wanted to go at him with Octavia, and it was amazing.
Yeah, and Drop, I know that you always talk about your notable S tiers, right? And I know some have been saying that you're the best player to have not won an S tier. But how do you feel now?
Well, luckily, first off, it was true. Second off, it's no longer true. So I'm feeling pretty stoked right now that I feel like that all of my S tiers, I was one smidgen away from guys taking it all. And now I was finally able to close down. Didn't even need to go to grand finals, which might have had some PTSD in there. So I'm really glad we didn't. But
You mean bracket reset?
yeah, bracket reset, my bad.
All good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Box, you showed up big time in the final game. I know I already mentioned the Octavia, but when there were so many KOs happening, I guess, how did you keep calm? How did you keep your speed up?
Honestly, my entire goal of that game was how do I look cool on stream while also winning. So I kept going for it, and I was just hoping Drop found the magic to find what I was trying to look for, and he did. It was beautiful. Sometimes he didn't even need me. Yeah, I'm stoked.
I'll take it to you, Vaughn. You've been here before, right? You've played these games before. You've won like this before. I guess, what makes this one different?
The reason this one is different is because this is the only S tier I've ever won without Bells or You Already Lose, and I did it with these two guys. And I really wanted to play with both of them. I've been fake a little bit with the person on my stage left. And pretty much literally in July, I said, I want to team with both of you, play with me. And I made us work so hard, and these guys never complained, and they kept like mentals high, and I don't think I could ask for better teammates. This is probably, I didn't really think going into this would like rank. I had no like opinions on how the experience would be, but this is definitely, it's probably one of my favorite wins ever. It feels like super special. And it feels really good knowing like we figured it out together, because all three of us came from very different teams and experiences, and we all had to learn from each other. Even me, like there were lots of things that like I had to work on in our games, and when it all like came down to the line, like these two guys on that Nightmare game absolutely like stepped up in 1v9 while I was really struggling to hold the double ranged. So this is like a really special. This is probably my favorite S tier win in a long time, like a long time, like Nassel 2 at least. So. That's my answer.
Yeah, and I guess to the two new S tier winners.
Yep.
First you, Box. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling amazing. Like, I didn't see myself winning an S tier, honestly. Like in recent times, you know. Like I didn't think Vaughn would pick me up. I think he's a big part. He also carried me through most of it, made me feel comfortable, and Drop just said, okay, I'll listen to you. And he did, and it made me feel really comfortable throughout all of it. So I just felt like I was able to show what I had. And like after like a break, I'm down. I'm so happy. Super happy.
And I want to say for me, I've always kind of just done my best to listen to my midfield. Now the reverse kitten, the fork. Just kind of making sure that whatever they want, I'm going to do my best to get to them. And it's how why my original playstyle with like 0 redirect Scott, because turns out most midfielders are egotistical, clip farming bastards who just give me the core, please. But I don't know if you guys saw that Rasmus game, but I felt like a beast just kind of walking over that game. It kind of was the first time in a while where I really felt like I was thinking about how I'm going to move up the ball alone whenever box was down. Of course, my flow stays up. Back to kittening, but I felt really good today. Like Vaughn said, we all came from very different teams, but I like to say before going into this, and definitely for sure now, that these two players are some of the most comfortable people I've played with in this game, probably ever. So, and most games because League of Legends sucks. But
All right, and before we go eat the $300 worth of pancakes and also some pizza on the side, I guess, starting with Vaughn, anything else you want to say?
Yeah. I'd like to shout out, first and foremost, Tony, Brett, and Fresh for warming us up for Grands. I'd like to shout out everyone we scrimmed, especially Hug with You Already Lose. They helped us a lot. I'd also like to shout out every single person at the Airbnb, and I will keep it brief, so I'll just, again, shout out my two teammates. This was definitely one of the most fun experiences I've ever had, like, in the history of OS, and I'm super, super glad, like, we could get the chip together because holy fuck, we earned it. Like, wow, we put so much work for this, so I'll pass it off to you, Drop.
of course, all the shout outs is above. Of course, I'm going to start, well, I said that twice. I'm going to start with the usual. My mom, who's always helping me get out to these lands, and every single one of them, I have a complete blast, and I don't have a job, so I'm going to be able to make it here without her. So, really happy that I'm able to get here. And this time, I can pay back how much the flight costs. So, and I would like to shout outs to everyone playing Pokemon right now because I'm having a blast doing that. And I'm really very happy playing a game that is not Omega Strikers I enjoy right now. So, shout outs to anyone who's introduced me and anyone's helped me out.
I have one. Yeah. So I want to shout out my parents and my brother first and foremost. You guys gave me so much support. I'm pretty sure you guys are watching right now, unless you guys fell asleep. But thank you so much. I also want to shout out my girlfriend. Love you so much. Very good support. And most importantly, I want to shout out Snowball because he's the GOAT. He brought me here. Basically paid for my hotel, so I wouldn't be here without him. I can't even think right now. But
And I'm also going to shout out my Spotify playlist, which was all the Umaneko OST, carried me to finals. All right,
Yep.
here you go.
Oh, wait. One shout out.
On that,
One more shout out. I want to shout out Lolamel XDDD. I had Umapyoi Legend running the entire time. I did, and now I'm a legend.
Vaughn, are we going to shout out your playlist?
Oh, shout out to Megan Trainor. That one was for you.
All right, well, with that, congratulations once again, ABAB. And that's it. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hopefully we'll do another one of these. Maybe. Goodbye.